welcome to today's episode of Money on Your Mind, where we answer your questions about money. And we're going to take the next 3 weeks to break down a question that we had that kind of encompasses several different parts. And the question was, what is the difference between a mutual fund, an ETF, and an index fund? So we're going to first break down, what is a mutual fund? Look, I know plenty of you are like, you know what, Shannon, I think I know what this is, but maybe this is a good refresher. Look, we're all incredibly intelligent individuals. And in fact, I have CEOs of companies and director level and above, high income earning, high net worth individuals who sometimes just say, you know what, I need a refresher. It doesn't mean that you are not intelligent and not successful to need a refresher on a very complex type of investing that, although seems simple to some, is not necessarily simple to everyone. So I want you to think of a mutual fund somewhat like you go to a potluck. Look, I know potlucks aren't necessarily COVID friendly anymore, but think of it, everybody brings a dish, right, to make an entire meal. Well, as a mutual fund investor, you are pooled in with plenty of different other investors who have the same type of interests. And the mutual fund investment company puts all of your money together and then goes out and buys baskets of stocks, bonds, and other investment vehicles to make up this individual basket that we call a mutual fund. And each mutual fund then has a different type of goal. Maybe it's growth, maybe it's value, maybe it's international funds, emerging markets, maybe it's a target date, like you see in many of your retirement accounts, that the funds are being rebalanced to get to a certain place. Many mutual funds are actively managed. So there's a team behind that are making the choices on which stocks, bonds, and other investments are put in them. And you pay for that. That's a team that's different than your financial advisor. Your financial advisor is not designing the mutual funds, likely. Usually a conflict of interest if they are designing the mutual funds. But that being said, that team is actively buying and selling. Now, your financial advisor, again, like I said, is someone separate. There are fees that are associated with mutual funds, okay? So I want you to think of it as might be commissions that you pay to that advisor. There are different fees that you might actually purchase, fees that are assessed to the investment firm. There are front end fees. There are back end fees potentially. It depends on the type of mutual fund that you have. There's usually a little letter after the 5 letters that identify the security. And that little letter might be A or C or I or R. They all have different meanings of how fees are associated, whether they be internal fees or external fees. So the 2 ways that fees come to you from a mutual fund are ones that you can see and ones that you don't necessarily see on your statement. So those upfront fees and those back end fees, and anytime you might exchange, so switch from one mutual fund to another within the same investment firm, or maybe there's an annual account fee. All of those are things that you should be able to see on a statement. Now, the other fees that you usually don't see are things that are internally cost. So how I explain it to clients is it's called an expense ratio, and it actually subtracts from the rate of return of the entire pool of individuals, or everybody who's at the potluck. Everybody gets charged these. They're management fees, which is different than what you pay to your advisor. Think of it as the individuals who are buying and selling, we've got to pay a fee for them to be able to do that work. Then there's what are referred to as 12B1 fees that are the cost of marketing and selling. And then there are other fees that are legal and accounting and marketing and administration fees. Those are ones that you aren't going to see. They're going to come off the rate of return, and they'll be signified as expense ratios. Not every financial advisor is going to tell you what those are. You can ask, you can look them up, you can Google, but those are fees that you're paying. So some are what you can see and what you can't see. Mutual funds are most commonly used investments within the investment universe. And so many individuals have them within their 401ks, within their IRAs, within their individual investment accounts. There are plenty of things that you want to be able to consider when becoming a mutual fund investor, much of that being the fees, performance, break points that you might have with a mutual fund company, or what are the advisory fees that your advisor is doing, what are you giving up in diversification. There are so many things that come from investing. At the end of the day, remember that it's personal to you, just as personal as your DNA. And you might not like the recipe or the dish that somebody else does. And so you don't have to be doing the same thing that they are doing. So as you dig further, we'll include some resources on our website at forethoughtplanning.com. Visit this full episode of Money on Your Mind on our website and get more resources to understand and educate yourself. And stay tuned next week as we start to talk about ETFs, and then the following week when we break down index funds. Remember, you are crazy intelligent and plenty worthy of wealth.